Cleveland rocked. The Thunder dominate the Cavs. Are Matt and Hayes worried more about Donovan Mitchell or the Cavs defense? Jimmy Butler is due back in the Heat lineup tonight. Is this the end of this saga or the end of Heat culture? All that plus your comments and our favorite things today on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. New customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. I'm Doug Branson, host of Locked On Hornets, and your Shot Clock Sherpa, guiding you through the NBA's biggest stories with the help of Locked On's local experts. And with me are two of Locked On's premier national NBA experts from the Locked On Nuggets podcast and senior writer for the Action Network. We've got Matt Moore. And from the Locked On Bulls podcast, it's Hayes. Hayes, I heard you got a co-host back on the Locked On Bulls podcast.
Yeah, it's homecoming of sorts. Pat's back.
Oh, well, I have to ask you then, Pat or Matt, who you got? you got two co-hosts now. What do you think?
Hey, you're not gonna force me to make that answer. Both of them. How about that?
Oh, that means I win by default. Perfect. All right, that's awesome. Great. All right, let's get into it. There are revenge games, and then there is what happened last night. The Oklahoma City, what they did to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Matt, just before we get to hear from Locked On Cavs and Locked On Thunder, I want to know from both of you guys, what changed for the Thunder between this game and their loss that they took to the Cavaliers just 1 week ago? Matt, we'll start with you.
Force a lot more turnovers. That was like the big thing here is if you let OKC disrupt you with turnovers, you're doomed. Like you are dead before the boat even sank. It is not possible to survive versus OKC if you're going to turn the ball over. The Cavs got completely out of their element. And the other thing is the Thunder really were able to push pace and get the Cavs out of their two big lineups and slowing it down and playing big. If you try and match them with pace and space, you are not going to outdo them. This is like they're not as good as the Warriors in the mid 2010s. But when teams would be like, we're going to try and run with you and shoot, I was always like, what are you doing? You are never going to be able to outgun the Warriors. You're not going to be able to play small with the Thunder either. So the Cavs fell into that trap. Impressive win by OKC.
Yeah, absolutely. The 21 turnovers by the Cavs and only 6 by the OKC Thunder was a big difference maker in this game. And then you look at 80 points almost between Shai, Lou Dort, and Jalen Williams. Like when you let those guys get in their rhythm, it's going to be difficult for any team. OKC Thunder didn't even shoot the three ball all that well this game, but the way that they executed offensively and defensively, it's just tough for any team to match up with them. That's why, after the first game that they had, I said that these two teams play the same exact game. There's going to be a different outcome every single time. And that's why I do hope that this is the finals matchup, because I think these are the two teams that are best equipped to throw different looks at each other. The coaching aspect of it, the X's and O's, chess match part of it. It's just, it's really good basketball and fun basketball to watch between these two teams.
OKC takes over the number one spot in the SRS all time. That's your point differential versus your strength of schedule. It's like the best measure that we have for great teams. All of the top 5 have won the title. They are currently number 1. Hard for them to hold that spot, but that's impressive. However, Hayes, you mentioned this. I need a ruling here. We got to start doing this on Locked On NBA Daily. We got to figure out whether these guys are 82 gamers or 16 gamers. Because if you're holding out hope that the Thunder are frauds, a lot of it, I think, rests with this question. Do you think Lou Dort's a 16 gamer?
Yeah, I think he is.
Okay, I don't know. That's the question, because he shot so poorly in that Mavs series. And all these regular season wins, Celtics, this Cavs game, Dort goes off for big moments. In that Bucks game that everyone I think over indexes in the cup final, shot terribly. That to me is like the big question here. When Dort shows up and gives them something offensively, I don't know how you stop OKC.
Okay, let's go to Locked On Cavs and Locked On Thunder. But before we do that, I just have to mention again how incredible Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was in this game. 40 points, 8 assists, 3 rebounds, and only shot 5 3-point attempts. I mean, if you're worried about the 3-point volume in the NBA, then you have to love what Shai did in this game. 17 of 26 from the field. All right, let's get out to Locked On Thunder and Locked On Cavs to hear about both sides of this matchup.
Thunder deserve a ton of credit for dictating the terms and conditions of this game. When everybody knew what was going to happen, they were going to have to play small. They forced Cleveland into going small. How did they do it? They sped up Cleveland. They got them rushed, and they got them into turnovers, which brings us to Lou Dort. 6 for 9 from beyond the arc, and he continues to deliver in big games. I thought that his night was really impressive on the defensive end, just smothering Donovan Mitchell. And Mitchell, I just think this is an awful matchup for him.
Offensively, the Cavs didn't play great. They didn't shoot the ball well. I thought that they didn't finish at the rim, and I think that's kind of where things started in this game, that they got a lot of really good looks near the basket in the first quarter, and they missed a bunch of them. Then you go out and just defensively, you struggle again. And that has been something that has been the most inconsistent part of this Cavs team.
Yeah, Rylan Stiles there from Locked On Thunder mentioning something. The size matchup was the story from the first game. Oklahoma City getting dominated by Cleveland's size inside. But in this one, they were without Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein, and still they were able to change the terms of the game, as Rylan was saying there. So let's turn this to the Cavs. Hayes, are you more worried about the two Donovan Mitchell performances that we've gotten against Oklahoma City? In this one, he only had 8 points, was a minus 28 in 20 minutes of play. Or are you more worried about Cleveland's defense not being able to contain Oklahoma City?
I'm more worried about the Donovan Mitchell aspect of it. Not to say that Cleveland's defense shouldn't be a concern as well, but if Donovan Mitchell is not going to be able to get up and go against this Thunder team, or teams like this, that's a bit of a concern. Now, I do think Donovan Mitchell has that switch where he can turn it on anytime. We've talked about that over the season, but it's different when it's against the Thunder. Where it seems like he's pacing himself to just be a part of the team and everybody to get theirs. It was different last night, and so. Luckily they don't have to face them again. If they do face the Thunder again, they're in the finals, so they'll worry about that when it gets down to it. But I think that matchup with Mitchell against the Thunder is one that would concern me with what we've seen so far.
Hayes, what was your preseason take? When we were first starting out the season, Cavs got off to a hot start. What was your reason for skepticism?
Because Donovan Mitchell.
So, a little bit of confirmation bias here, my guy, about him shutting down.
Yeah.
So, Dort last year, Mitchell was 6 of 18 from the field versus Dort last year in their matchups. I don't think this is a trade deadline thing. They got to sharpen the defense. One of the reasons why the Cavs don't grade out the same way that some of these other teams do with their kind of record is because of that defense. They've got some real issues. What they're really good at is limiting threes. Guess who that's really good against? The Boston Celtics. But if you run into a team that's able to play one extreme or the other, hyper small or hyper big, they're going to have a hard time. So if the Sixers, by some miracle, get healthy for more than 36 hours at a time, that's going to be hard for them because the Sixers can play big. If they run into a small ball team like the Indiana Pacers, who beat them the other night, that's going to be a problem for them. I think this is really fascinating when we look at the win profile of who you are good against and who you struggle against. And the Cavs, they got a win versus OKC because they were able to dictate those matchups and play big. When they get caught on either extreme, that's where they struggle. They're going to have to figure that out defensively because for me, that's the issue here and not the offensive side.
You mentioned the Sixers' health. Joel Embiid has been out the last 6 games with a left foot sprain. He is still out and will be reevaluated, will remain out for the next 7 to 10 days. So I don't think they're getting healthy anytime soon. Really quickly, do you think that the Cavaliers should explore any options on the trade market? I mean, this is one game. You don't want to react crazy to one game, but there's also limited time to make changes with the deadline coming up. Is there anything out there that you see for them to do?
I mean, look, if they can sneak in and get Cam Johnson, sure, but they're going up against Golden State, Memphis, and Orlando, who all have interest in him, and they're going to offer way better stuff for him, and OKC, who also could just be like, which pick would you like? We have all of the picks in the world. And so I think it's tough for them to fix it. Again, defense is systemic. They got the defenders. I'm not worried about their defenders. They got to be able to put this together in terms of how they operate together. Atkinson's done amazing work on the offensive end. They just got to sharpen up, I think, on a team level defensively in this one. I can't believe they took a loss with Dwyane Wade.
Hayes, you mentioned Oklahoma City not shooting particularly well from three. Shout out Adam Flagler, who came in for the Oklahoma City Thunder. 7 minutes of garbage time in this game. 0 of 9 from the field. 0 of 8 from three. Shooters got to shoot. It took the Thunder's three-point percentage from 40% all the way down to 34%. Yes, Matt.
I guarantee you, Adam Flagler is going to be like the third best player in the league in three-point percentage in like 2 years.
I don't disagree. Like, I think that's very well within the realm of possibility. All right, coming up on the Locked On NBA podcast, we've got a lot more on this show. Jimmy Butler, we've got some details from Ramona Shelburne of ESPN, also Locked On Heat, discussing Dwyane Wade's interesting comments on this saga as it comes to a head with Jimmy Butler due back in the Miami Heat lineup tonight. That's all ahead on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Your favorite NBA team has a free and daily newsletter. Go to LockedOnDaily.com and subscribe to stay up to date with local expert analysis and amazing writing from Katie Heindel, Mike Shearer, and Locked On Fantasy Basketball tips from Josh Lloyd. All right, the next topic I've titled Jimmy Butler is still mad because that seems to be the ongoing headline for Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat play the Denver Nuggets in Miami tonight. Jimmy Butler's suspension is over. That's what we know, but there's a lot that we don't know. Ramona Shelburne does her best to fill in some of the gaps in her latest article for ESPN. She quotes, while Heat sources say they expect Butler to return Friday against the Nuggets and are fully prepared for him to play, there remains a palpable dread at what he might do and the environment the ongoing chaos might create. I don't know how he can come back to this locker room, one source close to the team said another, we don't want him back. If history, like Minnesota in 2018, serves as precedent, the discomfort could deepen quickly. Quote, Jimmy hasn't even really started, said one source close to Butler. Let's go to Locked On Heat. Wes and David discuss Heat legend Dwyane Wade's comments on this situation and what all of this has done to the reputation of Heat culture.
When Dwyane Wade turned to the team during his statue unveiling in the fall, he said, a house divided does not stand. Well, Dwyane talked about that on his podcast this week, saying, quote, I stood up there and I said that because the grass isn't always greener. If you don't want to be here and don't like the way things are working here and you don't like it, then don't be here because this is not the organization for that. One of the things that we've known about Jimmy Butler is the fact that he would take private planes and he would stay away from the team hotel at times. And he did get just special treatment that Dwyane Wade says he didn't get, LeBron did not get, like those guys did not get that in 10 years ago when Eric Spoelstra was basically fresh to the job. And now that Spo's been in this job for a long time and they were trying to attract more star players and ultimately got Jimmy Butler, it does seem like that iron fist that Riley and for a little while Eric Spoelstra practiced. Dwyane Wade is saying that that's not the case anymore, and he's a little shocked by it.
All right, Hayes, are you shocked by it? Is this threatening, or has it already done away with the idea that the Heat's culture insulated them to the star politics that other teams fell victim to?
Yeah, I definitely think their culture did insulate them. But I said this when we, what was this, last Friday when we picked songs? Jimmy Butler is Nas on Ether. He's about to go scorch earth on the Miami Heat. I have no doubt about it. Like, the crap show that this is about to be is going to be of epic proportions unless the Miami Heat just suck it up and get them out of there. You do not want this in your locker room. You do not want an upset Jimmy Butler in your locker room. I'm not surprised to hear that he got special treatment. I'm not surprised that, because when you're winning, you have a player that gave you everything that Jimmy Butler gave you on the court. Yeah, you're going to give him certain caveats. But at this point now, Jimmy is an upset child, and he is going to make it a utter spectacle if you leave it up to him.
First off, my entire job and everything that I approach to, whether it's this show, Locked On Nuggets, all of my writing, whoever I'm working with, my number one goal is to not have it said later that my coworkers have a, quote, palpable dread that I'm coming back. That's like the number one goal. Be the person today, audience, be the person today that no one has palpable dread that you're walking into the door. Two, on the culture front, this is what happens when you start to believe your own stuff too much, when you start to get high on your own supply, when you start smelling various substances that may or may not come out of your body. This is what happens, is you start to think that it's just this internalized thing, and it's not about the work that you do. Culture is not about a philosophy or an idea or a belief in yourself. It's the work that you do every day. That's what set the Heat apart. It was their process and everything. And there are organizations like OKC where that level of professionalism at every level of their organization is maintained regardless. And the Heat started to get away from that because they're printing T-shirts and putting this stuff on the court and selling merchandise while they're letting Jimmy Butler do whatever he wants. And the last thing on this is, if a player does not want to be held to those standards, and that's important to you, you should have moved on before. I'm not going to stop going in on this. The Heat's problem is not where they're at now. It's that they should have gotten ahead of this a long time ago, but they bought into too much off of a fluke 2023 finals run. Don't get high on your own supply.
Hey, speechless.
I have no idea what to add to that. Like, Matt, just all facts there.
Any predictions about what happens tonight? Anyone want to offer a prediction?
What are the odds that he dunks on his own goal?
It's non-zero, right?
It's not zero. It's not 50. So it's like, are you closer to 25%? Are you like, oh, it's only like a 2% chance? But like, look, man, we've seen these shots. And that quote was, again, I've talked about this on the show about it all being done in the media. Hayes, Jimmy hasn't even really started. That's a threat and a promise.
Yeah.
Wasn't that Ricky Davis who tried to get a triple-double by shooting on his own goal and getting a rebound? So
I think
there is NBA precedent. All right, moving on. On the latest Locked On Mavericks podcast, host Isaac Harris came up with an interesting way to look at the Mavs' postseason hope. Let's take a listen.
Like a card game. And are you going to go all in? I know the odds are against us right now. I know all the stuff that's happening, but I still think we're winning the NBA Finals. Or are you going to sit back and you're going to say, you know what? I'm just going to hold right now. Or are you folding? Are you saying this season is cursed? Before the season, I was like, hey, I'm picking the Mavs to win the title. Right now, halfway through the season, I'm just saying I got to hold. The vibes seem really good. Like, we don't have any articles that's hit anything. It's like, dude, the vibes are off. They hate each other, all this stuff. Everything about the vibes about this team still seems awesome. Luka, Kyrie, Lively, and PJ, I think they're the four most important players on the team. They're not out for the season. Outside of OKC, there's still not a team in the West that like scares me. I'm not folding on this team.
Okay, I really love this game, but I'm going to change it up slightly. We're going to do hold, fold, or all in with three teams in the soft middle of each conference, and you only get to assign one of those per team. So we'll start in the Western Conference, 6, 7, 8 seeds. That's Lakers, Mavericks, and Timberwolves. Hold, fold, or all in. Matt, we'll start with you.
Okay. I'm going to hold on the Mavs No, I'm going all in on the Mavs. I'm sorry. I'm all in on the Mavs. They're going to be fine. They're going to be great. I think the team can make the Western Conference Finals. I think they can upset OKC. Imagine if they win in the play-in tournament, if they fall all that way down and they sneak into the 8th seed in the first round as this Thunder team on this kind of record versus the Mavericks after what happened last year. Really fascinating. I'm holding on the Lakers. I still think that there's a good team in here somewhere. I'm actually going to fold on the Wolves. Their win profile is inconsistent. The spacing doesn't work. I'm writing about this right now. Jaden McDaniels, it's not good. Like it is. The stuff with Julius, Tom Haberstroh pointed this out that he's like leaving games early and has been pulled from clutch time. Finch is giving him the boozer. Throwback to Tibbs with Carlos. Boozer. And yeah, the boozer. So all of that is bad. I am folding on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I'm going to go all in on the Mavs, and I'm holding on the Lakers.
I agree with Matt's there. I all on the same. I'm all in on the Mavs, holding on the Lakers, and folding on the Wolves. After Matt, we talked about this a little while ago on Jaden McDaniels, and so I went and dug into like a lot of his stats. How much worse every one of the lineups that Jaden McDaniels is in statistically is. It's honestly crazy. It's concerning because everybody's making this about Julius Randle. When you really look at the numbers, no, it's just Jaden McDaniels. It really is just Jaden McDaniels. So yeah, I think that the Wolves have the most soul searching to do out of all these teams to try to figure out how to fix what's going wrong with their roster. So yeah, like I said, all in on the Mavs, hold on the Lakers. I'm folding on the Wolves.
I'll make a change. I will say all in on the Lakers because I just feel like there's someone always comes to the rescue of a LeBron James team. And I know that the odds are stacked against them to make some kind of move. Locked On Lakers today talked about their options at the center position. I think there's still a move to be made. And I think LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they somehow figures it. I don't think they're championship contenders, but I think they somehow figure this thing out. Also, Anthony Edwards had a hilarious response to if he would play the same way as Steph Curry, off ball, running around, and he said no, that he would pass out if he played that way. But it does. I know he's kind of joking there, but Anthony Edwards has talked a lot this season to reporters about what he would not do as a player. And I just wonder what that means when your star player is constantly talking about what he won't do for the team as opposed to what he would do for the team. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, he's always it's been like 3 quotes this year where he's called out the starting lineup as well. Like Anthony Edwards and what he's been saying about that team should raise some very big red flags in regards to that team.
How old is Ant?
23?
Yeah, he's 23. I'm going to give him a break here, man. He's 23. He's way ahead of the curve in terms of where he should be. He's a former #1 pick, so it's like, yeah, there's expectations, and he's going to have to learn this stuff. But I'm just not surprised because this is the age when it's like he wants, and he was thrust into the spot like last year. He wants it to be just like that, and he's not understanding of like how different. Every year is a different puzzle you got to solve, and he's really not comfortable with trying to solve this puzzle.
Okay, we're going to do the Eastern Conference 6, 7, 8. Pacers, Hawks, Heat, hold, fold, or all in. We're going to do that. We're going to do that coming up next on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same-game parlays, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Today's episode is also brought to you by Skims. When I found out that Skims was making underwear for men, I was intrigued because I've heard so much about their quality from friends and family, and now their men's line offers the same comfort and style that they're known for. If you've ever struggled with finding the right underwear, whether it's fit, comfort, or just the right style, Skims has you covered. Their men's line includes options for everyone, from boxer briefs to classic briefs, all designed with the perfect balance of comfort and style. The Skims Stretch 5-inch boxer briefs, they're a great choice for an active lifestyle. They're designed to move with you, stay in place all day, and never lose their shape. Whether you're working out or running errands, you're going to love how lightweight and comfortable they feel. It's almost like you're wearing nothing at all. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com/LockedOnNBA and Skims stores. Let them know we sent you after you place your order. Just select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. If you're interested in analysis of the Heat Nuggets game tonight and more on the Jimmy Butler saga, I'm sure you can get that on Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night. It's on this feed. All right, so we're still playing hold, fold, or all in, but we're shifting our focus to the soft middle of the Eastern Conference. 6, 7, 8 seeds right now. Pacers, Hawks, Heat. Hayes, we'll start with you. Hold, fold, or all in?
Can I fold on all of them? Is that a possibility?
That is not an option in this game.
What a hater.
This is a Sophie's choice. Here's what we'll go here. I'm going to say fold, of course, for the Miami Heat. Just fold that. Don't even worry about it. I'm going to go all in on the Hawks, but not for the reasons that most people would say. I love so many of their young pieces here that I'm in on their young pieces. Still have some questions on what they should do with Trae Young or not, but like I love most of this team's young pieces. I love the way that Dyson Daniels is growing. Love Jalen Johnson, what he has as well. And so I'll say hold for the Pacers because I think at this point the Pacers kind of are who they are. They have some things that they need to face in the offseason. That's my answer there.
So what's really interesting about this, right, is like if we compare this with like a poker game, right? You want to go all in with the best hand. And the Pacers are the best hand here, but I feel like we're at the peak of their value, where they've rattled off this great win streak to get back into Eastern Conference playoff contention. They've settled down a lot of the questions about them. But I don't think that this is like, if we're looking long term, if we're trying to take a view of not just now, but what are the cards going to show us on the river, I think you gotta have a different approach. I'm gonna hold on the Pacers. I think they're good. I think they're solid. I think they're still gonna probably have some ups and downs. I don't see them as remarkably better than last year. They haven't taken a step forward. They've just kind of managed to get back to where they should have been. And so I'm holding on the Pacers. I'm gonna go all in on the Heat. So let's say that they resolve this Jimmy Butler situation one way or another, whether that might just be like sending him home to, I don't know, break stuff in his house since he can't be anywhere for longer than 35 seconds without breaking things. Just walking around his house, smashing vases, throwing TVs. Tyler Hero's played great basketball. Bam Adebayo hasn't. He's got better basketball in him. We got the Heat development system with all these young guys. We got the possibility of them making another deal at the trade deadline that doesn't involve Butler. Like, this is a team that I kind of want to go in on, because as much as I can say that they've kind of corrupted that culture is still there. They got great coaching. They've got great management. They've got good players. They've got good staff. If you get that cancer out of that locker room, I think they got a chance to make a run here. I'm out on the Hawks. Folding. This team is just, they're infuriating. Their record versus great teams is awesome. Their record versus bad teams is awful. I'm sorry, but everything in my NBA experience tells me that over the course of 82 games, that's a team that's going to get found out. And eventually, that team is going to get found out. I like their core. Who doesn't like Dyson and Jalen? But the rest of that team, I'm not sold on. I'm going to fold on the Hawks.
Let us know what you think on YouTube, youtube.com/what?
We didn't get your answers. What are your answers?
Oh, for the Eastern Conference,
yeah.
I'm going all. I kind of want to fold on all three teams as well, but I'm going to go. I'm going to go all in on the Hawks. I think they make another like weird run in the Eastern Conference this year. It's always like one team, and they've done it before with obviously a different lineup. But I think I'm all in on the Hawks. I'm going to fold on the Pacers. I just think we've seen everything that we're going to see from this Pacers team. I just don't believe in them winning another playoff series. And then I'll hold on the Heat until we figure out what they're going to do at the deadline and with Jimmy Butler.
Every year there's a team I can't figure out that just infuriates me. That's the Hawks this year. I can't figure them out.
No, I think that's very fair. And they've had some, as you said, they've had some crazy losses. But so have the Pacers. The Pacers have had some infuriating losses as well to really bad teams, and they've gotten some incredible wins against the Cavaliers and others. So yeah, it's that middle of the Eastern Conference is very weird. All right. So I've been asking you all week to submit your comments to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@LockedOnNBA. You can let us know what you think about this hold, fold, all in game. We did get a few on the Adam Silver conversation, him commenting on the 3-point problem. So I want to read those. This is from @JohnMargaret's4816. Says, my number one issue with the NBA, inconsistent officiating. I don't know how my team will perform in any given game because I don't know how the refs will call it. You can say it's missed calls. You can say it's letting them play. Just pick a standard and apply it to every player, every team, every time. Is officiating getting enough attention in the what's wrong with the NBA discussion, Matt?
I think so, yeah. I think that we've had these moments. They started off 2 years ago with allowing more contact and everyone liked it, and then they went back to the same stuff. Last year, they finished the year with a much more physical, aggressive style, and everyone liked it, and then they went back to the same stuff. Honestly, a lot of this, again, I just put some of this on the players. They're the ones playing the game, and they get all the credit and they get all the money, and they deserve it. They're amazing. But also, stop grifting. Stop it. Stop it. Stop grifting. That's all anybody wants is for you to stop trying to generate free throws instead of trying to generate shots. If you just stop doing that, if you stop falling down on random jumpers when you're 7 feet tall and bigger than everybody else, Anthony Davis, then you're going to be in, like, the game's going to be in a much better shape. Just stop the grifting and we'll be in a better place for the league.
I'm going to take the opposite approach. I do think that officiating does need to be under a little bit more of a microscope. These last 2-minute reports, not as bad as what they were like towards the middle of last season, but like they come out, the NBA comes out with this and nothing comes about it. There's no recourse for any of it that we know of. So I do think that officiating can be a little bit more consistent because it does wildly vary depending on the officiating staff. And then you already know Tony Brothers has grudges against certain players, but you know, it is what it is. I do think that it could be a little bit more consistent. That could help the game for sure.
All right, final comment from Mr. Eat Hardy, and this is on Hayes, noting that John Corrales did not get a chance to call something the best win of the season. John Corrales, host of Locked On NBA, and Mr. Eat Hardy comments, you know you listen to too much Locked On NBA when you know what Hayes is referencing this from. So you can never watch too much Locked On NBA. It's not possible.
Amen.
All right, not enough time for our favorite things of the week today. I'm sorry. I know this is Matt probably had a really great one. Maybe we, if you guys want to hang around, maybe we record something bonus-wise and throw it up on the feed. We'll see. All right, thanks so much for joining us all week long and every day. If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get podcasts. That includes YouTube. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Enjoy tonight's action. Enjoy this weekend's action. Be kind to each other. And we're going to see you right back here to recap that weekend on Locked On NBA.